How do you exactly identify your seduction type in terms of Robert Greene's book, The Art of Seduction? This is what today's video is about. Let's get it.
Yeah. I'm inspired. I'm inspired.
Hey there guys, how's it going? My name is Sumet Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy, and I'm a flow state catalyst, which means that I help you feel better and perform better. Once again, we are talking about Robert Greene's book, The Art of Seduction. Thank you so much for Augustine for asking this question. And what's an easy way to identify what your seduction type really is, okay? Now, obviously, you can find a lot of quizzes online and all that kind of stuff. I find that very formulaic and very kind of boring to think about. I want you to think about your own life. I want you to come back to your own life. And before we get into that, I want you to first of all focus on your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind. What do you dream about? What comes up for you again and again as symbols? So if I show you these pictures right now, and these are actually pictures from the book, right? The symbols from the book. If you don't know of that, obviously you got to look into it, or you haven't read the book or something like this. Now, without knowing anything of the book, just erase all your predetermined identifications or preconceptions about these images and just simply look at them. Which one are you drawn to very naturally? Which one do you feel that there might be something there? Trust in that one first, okay? And this could be different percentages for different people as well. So these are the actual archetypes and what they are, corresponding to each symbol. So you kind of start to understand that I spoke about this before as well, but we are multidimensional beings, right? So we can't really pinpoint ourselves down to one type. We can look at the different percentages. Maybe you have one main type and one that supports it or something like this too. But understand you have elements of all of these seduction types within you because they're archetypical, right? They're just throughout history, throughout time, this is what has worked and this is what has been effective. And so in terms of your own persuasion style or seduction style, you've got to ask yourself, like, how do you behave in social situations? Are you more flirtatious and dynamic? Are you more childlike and playful? Maybe you don't say a word and you flirt with your eyes. Maybe you confuse them and you try and play, hot and cold, push and pull. So let's say you've been on a date with a particular person. Now you're on the next date. What do? This is going to determine your seduction style, right? Are you quiet and let them decide? Do you take them to a place by understanding what their tastes are and assuming what their tastes are and just taking them there? Do you just decide and be bold and go with a random place? Or is it the fact that you want to be 50-50 and you want to let them decide this time because last time you decided where you guys wanted to eat? You see, there's so many different ways you can go about it, and that determines the type of seduction style you have. So you have to think in terms of different scenarios where you would apply this directly. What do you do early on in a seduction? Do you play the role of a friend? Do you show them your glitz and glamour or your charm? Do you tell them how strongly you feel about them and just pour your heart out? You make them feel completely relaxed in your presence so that they can trust you. How much do you value masculine and feminine energy? And how much do you feel that plays into the seduction? Let's say someone you're trying to seduce comes over to your house. You're gonna clean up and make it look very posh. Are you going to leave it as it is because you want them to see the authentic you? Maybe you add some flowers and details. Maybe you completely revamp your whole room to make it more sensual and atmospheric. Or do you just kind of generally clean up where you want their attention to be on you and not in your home and other, extraneous material? All of these apply to your very specific style. And I gave you that image test just to give you a quick understanding of what your subconscious responds to. So the primal reptilian part of your brain responds to imagery, which is why I gave you these symbolic interpretations to make you know that, okay, which one am I leaning into? You see, during this process a while back where I was creating this business called Matches into Dates with two of my business comrades, we came to this understanding that there's kind of this rakish quality within all of us, isn't there? Like, isn't there a little bit of that flame or that fire within you? Isn't there a little bit of that water within you? Isn't there a little bit of that innocence and childlike quality? So you don't have to overwhelm yourself by choosing one type or one style. You see what I'm saying? It can help you to generally understand what your main type is, but don't let that limit you from expressing your own creativity and almost creating your own style in a sense by using a combination approach, even maybe perhaps doing other quizzes like Jungian archetype and other quizzes and combining those into your seductive archetype. Let's say that you are, what if your Jungian or brand archetype, some people call this, right? What if your Jungian archetype is the jester and your art of seduction archetype is, let's say, the charmer? Now you want to kind of blend those two worlds. What is a charming jester? Like, how do you combine both of those worlds? How do you get to that midpoint or that flow state between both, right? How do you get to the crux or the sweet spot between both of those characters? Like, some of them is going to make sense. Let's say if you have the innocence or the caregiver, this all makes sense in regards to the natural archetype in some sense, okay? Me and my team, Primal Sutra, we're going to create a very, very specific quiz for you, Augustine, and anybody else who wants it. So basically, our team is going through a process right now where we're going to create a proper quiz for you that you can figure out what exactly is your main core archetype. But besides that, if you want to begin this process yourself, just start thinking in different scenarios how you'd handle this situation. Start seeing the most common trend as you think of these different scenarios, right? What do you do when you kiss someone? Do you have a favorite genre of music or a style of dancing? How do you know when someone is showing interest in you? And look at the different celebrities associated with these different archetypes, right? Are you a more James Dean style of seduction? As a woman watching, maybe you're more of a Bridget Bardot, or there's so many different types of archetypes that you could be focusing on. For women, I would also have you look into the womenlovepower.com female seduction archetypes as well. Those are very accurate and they go very deep into their own worlds and, primary ones and then secondary ones. It works in a very specific way. But yeah, that of course this is also unisex and there are elements of both male and female in here. But there's so many different ways that you can go about this, right? But my advice would be just to look at the different scenarios, see yourself in different scenarios, dating, lovemaking, different ways that you can kind of imagine where this archetype hyperextends or creates a sort of maintenance for you, where you feel this most obvious closeness to one, right? There will be an obvious closeness to one. The good news is you can intentionally work on one specific archetype and strengthening them. So if you would like to be an ideal lover, you can always start a hero's journey on being the ideal lover in your own life. You see what I'm saying? It could be that, hey, on a movie night with friends and inviting the girl over, you might be playing a different archetype and engaging in that. And in another scenario, you're more charismatic and your team leader at your business, you're more of a charismatic seduction archetype. So it's not always going to be hard and fast rules and applying it for every situation. But I do find myself kind of playing with a lot of these, and I don't really chain myself down to one character in that sense. I do find myself most prominent within the natural, but then I'd also see little elements of the charismatic or the ideal lover, or even a little rakishness or dandyishness, right? As if you just focus on being a good seducer in general. It doesn't matter what archetype you're playing. These are just giving us roadmaps. You see what I'm saying? But what I would say is focus on seducing yourself first. How can you seduce you first? You see what I'm saying? You got to know yourself better than everybody else. This is what self-knowledge is. This is why we're doing this work. You see what I'm saying? Self-awareness, and then the evolution towards your seductive archetype or character. You get what I'm saying? So don't limit yourself. Never put boundaries or crutches based on, these different quizzes and different things that you're doing. And if you're trying to force your way into playing some specific role, it's not going to work. You got to go with what is most naturally you. Most naturally you might not be the most seductive either. So it's about understanding that, hey, I have a tendency to do certain things. Let me understand my tendencies. Then I can realize my identity. Okay? I have a tendency to multiple text, let's say a girl. Is that very seductive? I wouldn't say it is. However, hey, you can make everything serves the seduction in a sense. You can make anything work for you. You just have to have that technique and the right skill set, mindset, gut set, heart set, soul set. You know what I'm saying? So I hope you enjoyed this video today. Ask me any questions if you want on Instagram. If you're confused about your type, I ain't got no type. Okay, let's get it today. Upward Spiral Gang. May we never be the same again. May the flow be with you. Flow must stay and stay legendary. Let's get it today. Oh.